fellas, this is Sushi again. This tutorial will be about adding fighters to the mod. I'll be adding the cloak ship today. Cloak shape, I think it is. Yeah, cloak shape to the mod today, and I'll be walking you through that. So the first place I start is in the ships folder, and I usually add things to the ship arc first. I kind of use that as a reference point because I can go through it later and make sure everything's properly linked to one another. What's great is that I do have dev's old mod, and I use a lot of that data, and I just tinker with the things that I need to change. So I just gotta find that right now. I think I have it posted up. I gave it to Zach at least. I'll have to do the same for you guys. It's actually on file front, so if you guys just look there on that file front folder, you should be able to find everything. Just give me a sec here and let me find that that folder. I think it's here. Yeah, this is it. Okay. I liked using the old files because they have all the old ID names and ID info, so that means I don't have to put it in, and it's already actually in the game since 2.0 was developed on top of dev's old mod. So I'm just going to find that cloak shape, which is here. That's lovely. And I'll just cut here and copy that. Alright, so this is 2.0's ship arc, and I'm trying to find our civilian fighters here. Now, I think the Toscan's already been added. Yeah, so I'll just add it on top of that. Okay, so now the process is actually going through the ship arc and making sure all the things are properly put in. And what I do is, as I go through it, I'll change the files so that they match. I also like to keep another ship arc open, just to reference it on a older ship to make sure I'm doing it the same. It's been a little while since I've added a ship, so if I make any mistakes here or blunders, I apologize. Okay, so let's start here. So looking at both, I'm looking at both the ID names, making sure that they're proper. I'm sure that it is. So the nickname is added right. I'm going to change the Lod range. This is level of detail. Usually I can handle a little bit bigger, so 5,000 is what I usually put it to. So you can see that ship at around 5,000 meters. This has to do with the NPCs when they start talking, how they refer to your fighter, I think. And this right here is whether it can dock and dock at certain locations. So for example, a capital ship, you would change this to another value, which I can't remember offhand, but I'm sure it will come to me. You'll see here that the hold size is pretty large for the A-Wing. That was just for me playing around with the missiles. But for this sake, I'll just leave it here. Max bank angle. That's when you see the ship bank. So, for example, a A-Wing will probably have a pretty large bank, while a cloak shape probably won't. And I think 50 is a good angle for that. Now, the reason why this is at 0.75 and whatnot is because dev's mod Tau was, all the ships were, I think, a quarter of the size of 1 to 4 size. So, for example, instead of being 1 meter in length, it would have been 25 centimeters. So I'm just going to change that now because everything is 1-to-1 now. So I'm just going to change that there. Looking at the cameras, I don't play around with those too much. I kind of just generally leave them the same. No nanobots, no shield bots, which is what we want. Okay, so we come to a point here. We have fuses. We didn't actually have those in our mod 1.66, so I'm going to add that now, and I'll show you where I add that file. So I'm just going to change this to add it underneath here, and this will be cloak shape death. Okay, this I think has to do with the duration of it, or how long it takes for this fuse to occur. Dev can correct me if I'm wrong or not on this. Now I'll go to where you actually link up the file, and that's in your effects. And you go to fuses, INE, and these are all these fuses you can play with. If you get the time, it's probably a good thing to do if somebody wants to kind of focus on this. And these are all the effects that you get when something's destroyed and whatnot. You'll see that, for example, the Curlian gunship. If you saw in one of my videos, I had all these fires occurring in all the different places. Well, this is because of the different fuses and things like that. So, anyways, for this time's sake, I'll just do something really quick here. Let's see. This is what I'll usually stick to the Ewing. Or rather, this is probably what I use instead. I don't really have a rhyme or reason to this. I think I just have all the fighters in front, and then you have freighters, and then you have the capital ships. So cloak shape. Okay, and I'll just change this here to shift death, and just make sure that I'm doing this right. Shift death. What I always like to do, just I guess it's a neurotic neurosis of mine actually, is that I'll copy and paste this data back into the fuse, even though I wrote it, just to make sure that I did it properly. So that's the lifetime of it. That's how long it takes, I think. This is what the effect will be. So this is written out, so I can just cancel that. Wherever you see a colon like this, that means it's been commented out and the game will read it. So now, because of this hit point special here, I have to make sure that the cloak shape actually has that hit point. So after that, I have to go to hard CMP here and make sure that it's been added. Now you can just add it at any point. I'll do that right now. It doesn't actually really matter where you position it. It's just really important to actually have it in there, or the fuse won't work properly, I think. Ships and cloak shape. Alright, so this is it coming up now. Now let's see if I have a special. No, I don't, so I have to add that. So you want to go to new, and then because it's not on this list, you want to make sure it's always in the root. You'll see that some of them have this zombies, which actually I should add to the fuse. I'll do that in a sec, which is a different component and more important for the actual big fuse effects. Dev can tell you more about that. I haven't really toyed around with it too much, but I'll add that hit point special here, and I'll click not from the list because that's where it's not on the list. And I'll just add it there. So now you have that hit point special there, and I'll apply it and validate it, and now it should be in the game, or in that model. So yeah, okay, good. So I'll save that now. Okay, and that's changed. Because I has those two, I didn't notice those zombies. I like to just keep it there. I don't really know what they do. I just add them just to be safe. Okay. And I'm sure Dev can tell you more about that point when we get through it. Oh, interesting. I think this is Aaron's addition to the mod. He was trying to put the effects at the engines, I think. Yeah. I haven't toyed around with this too much, but for guys, feel free. You can get some really neat effects going on, and Dev has been really kind in the way he does things, is that he shows you what all of them do. So you can get some really neat effects going on if you have the time to play around. And I definitely encourage you guys, if you guys want a really nice mod, to play around with these, or get Dev to teach you, either or. Anyways, so I added that to the fuses, and now I'll save that. I'll close that. So now the archetype, so I'm making sure that this is in the right place, and that is. Okay. Let's screen this a bit here. Okay. It sucks having a little bit of a smaller screen, to record this because it's kind of difficult sometimes to see things. So just making sure I got everything right here. So it's in the tau shaped cloak shape portion of it. So tau ships and cloak shape. Okay, so we have it there. That's where it's actually going to, that file. This, I have no idea what this does, but it's always been the same, so it doesn't really matter. Cockpits are going to be different. They used to be in a cockpits folder, but now we actually have it in the ships folder, which I think is a lot better, personally, just to keep all the ship things in that one folder. So, cloak shape, I should have that, there you go, cloak shape cockpit, and just make sure I had it all typed in properly. Go right here, and add that. I guess just generic pilot doesn't really matter. Okay, so now I have to exchange the explosion arc, and that's more effects stuff, which is devs fields. I just copy and paste it, so I really can't tell you too much about it, other than you have to add it. Alright, so make sure I have that down, and then now I'm going to go to FX again, and then you'll see the explosions right here, and that's where this is. I think this is the actual explosions you get. I think the information dev had, oh no, stop here. Yeah, I've been playing around with certain explosions to see what they look like. You can get bigger ones and whatnot. For the sake of the cloak shape, I'm just going to be adding just the same. So bring this in here, and then adding that. And you want to make sure that this value matches the ship arc value here. So I have a hit points of 1500 for this cloak shape. So I'll just add that there. Yeah, okay. I don't know why they're 2000 and whatnot. I thought I matched them. Oh, now I know what this is. This is the damage it will cause when it explodes. Wasn't thinking right. So yeah, so where is it? Tuscan cloak shape. Okay, so basically this is the lifetime of the explosion. So this is like a time point. So for example, if this is time 0 here, you have a certain amount of time here, and that will be this number here. So for example, if I wanted the explosion to last, 10 seconds, I'd put something like that. I've never toyed around with it, but I think that's the theory behind it. This is the process, so it'll shatter. I don't know the other different types of explosions. That's more dev's thing. This is the effect that you see. This is the strength of it. This is the size of it, so actually the radius of the explosion, and this is the hull damage it will cause other ships to have if they're inside that explosion radius. Okay, so that's been added. So make sure I have that explosion cloak shape, and I'll save that. So you can see there's a lot of little files that link to the ship arc, and that's why I tend to start here. And it's kind of nice to just kind of go through it slowly and add all the things I needed to. So surface effects, I don't need to change that to torque. Now because we're in a different, running something a little different, I always kind of like to keep them, I think I keep them similar pretty much. No, I don't. Never mind. It's been a little while since I had things. Sorry, guys. Okay. I haven't toyed around with this too much. This actually will affect speed. But then again, I haven't, as I said, I haven't toyed around with it too much, so I can't really tell you a lot about it, unfortunately. Okay, so make sure got everything added here. Okay, and then cargoes. This is stuff I don't really care about. And then shields link, making sure I have that, my HV mount, and my shields. And then this is special. I think it's a special torpedo, but I don't actually need that, so I'm going to take that out. This was more important for when we didn't have the specialized guns. They would just have a certain type that would be able to be mounted. So for example, if I wanted a variety of different missiles to be added, this right here allows that specific type to be added, and then there can be the different subtypes of missiles that you could add to either Torpedo 1 or Torpedo 2. But since we have just set missiles now, we don't really need that, so I can delete that line. Okay, and that should be it for my ship arc inclusion here. Just making sure I got everything I needed to get. And I'm going to save that now. And that one's done. Okay, now this is where the bulk of your ship entries come in, is in your equipments file. So I've already talked to you guys a lot about this kind of stuff, so I don't really need to get into it too much. So where I usually start is in their goods. That's where kind of everything coordinates from. It's almost like your shopping bag of where I need to add things and where I need to go and get them from. So hopefully I have that. No, I didn't. Alright, so I'm going back to that old TAL file because it has all that goods I need, and I just change it to suit our mod, which is kind of nice. Sorry, brain fart there. Could be under a different name, that's why it's not coming up. There it is. I just didn't have it positioned right. Okay, so add that. Usually add it right underneath the Toscan, or right on top of the Toscan, because they're civilian fighters, so I like to keep those organized. Okay. I should have named this out, so I'll call this okay, and that's now added there. Alright. So basically these two correspond with one another. When you buy a ship, usually you buy the package of it, so that includes everything here, but you have to put the cloak shape hull in here. So this is ID name, the icon. Now this is where it comes from. The icons I've moved into the ship folders, so I'll have to change that here. Make sure that icon is there for that. Sure that's there, so now I just have to check real quick if that's there. Okay, you see that it's right there, and that's the actual icon you see in-game when you buy it. Sometimes they come up, sometimes they don't. I haven't really figured out why. However, for the ones that don't, what I do is I go back to 1.68 and I use their icons, and I just change the things I need to do. So if this icon doesn't work, what I would do is go to 1.68, find where those commodities are. Sorry, where those icons are, and those are usually in the commodities. I'll show you guys really quick, because I posted most of the 1.68 stuff up here. Actually, I have to do that, funny enough, for CZW, so I'll have to do that for him right after this. I don't know why. This is there. Okay. And to find that, it's in equipment, it's in models, it's in commodities, and then you get all the icons here. So for example, if the cloak shape doesn't work, I would use this one here, or try to use this one. Okay, so that being said, I already have that here. Okay, so you see that I didn't name it right. That's why I tend to do that, just in case I miss things. Okay, so now we're in package here. So these are the things I need to change, these things I need to add to the mod that we don't. The scanners are always wrong. These scanners, you want these ones, and also the tractor, so I'm just going to change these. We have all the same right now. I think they can be edited later. I'm just looking at something, sorry. Okay, I don't know why these don't have internal on it. This was put in by Aaron, so some of his stuff isn't always, it tends to take a lot of shortcuts, which I've found sometimes can cause some errors, and sometimes it's fine. I already added that, okay. And there you go. So now those are internal. So it's saying where these will be found, and so they're inside the model, and I only want one of them. Okay, and now these cloak-shaped shields are a reference to a hard point. So this is a hard point that should be found on the actual cloak-shaped model. So you'll see if I put it up here for you guys, that the shield that you put into your goods will correspond to this hit point right here, which is located there. Actually, it's inside the model. And the same thing for the engines and things. So the engine is located here, and that's where you'll put your engine. And that's where the game will put it here. So this is just standard laser. I'll probably have to switch this out thinking about it, which is good. I can show you guys how to do that. Running lights, we don't have any. I haven't put them in, but I can do that later. And then we want countermeasures, which this doesn't have. So I'll add that right now. So usually this allows you to keep a lot of the hit point, the popular ones in here. So CO1, and that's what I want. Let's see here. So standard hit point CO1. Yeah, that's what I want, and I'll probably add it to actually where the engines are, because you want its release point to be at the outside of the ship. Okay, so to make it look better, actually, that's what it's, so apply, validate, okay, and so I want it at 0.5 and 4.6, okay. So I'll change that to 4, 6, and that should be 0.5 here, and apply it, see if that's where I want it, which it is, and I'll validate it. Now that will be in there, so I'll save that. Okay. And so I got that now. So the engines, and that's where I'll get like an engine glow. Now I have to make sure that this is the same. Engine glows are stored within the equipment file here. Let's see, just trying to remember where it is. Trying to figure out where that light, I think it's, there it was, light equipment. So this is actually where the light comes from. Put it all down here. Yeah. So these have special, once again, I haven't toyed a lot with these, but you can add different colors there. So I'll add something purple. I don't know, I like purple, so I'll add that there. So I'll add that to my goods, and that'll actually be with a color it will put at the HP engine one, which you saw. And I'll have to change this out, so I'll have to do that a little bit later. I'm just going to save that because I've done some alterations. And now, so after they do that, I like to start with like a process. So the first thing I'm going to add here is what it says here, so the engine. So I go to engine equip, and just for the sake of simplicity, I'll probably make it the same as the Toscan, and then later you guys can edit it. Oh, it's already been added. What is going on here? Oh, that's why. Right, so what I do is I use dev's file once again and use their engine data, because I don't feel like typing all of it in. So I go there and I'll copy it, and I go to my tinkering file, and just making sure that okay, so I did add it to the right place. So engine equip here. I don't think I've organized these yet, so anybody feel free. Oh, there it is. There's the. Oh, what I did, you can't see it. The way I organized it. When you scroll through files, sometimes it's difficult to see the headings for it. So I put these way outside where you can't see it, so it's easier to flip. So you can see that I'm getting into the fighters here, and then civilian ships, and the freighters, and the capitals. So it's a little easier to organize when you're just skimming through it really quickly. I didn't keep it consistent throughout. I didn't know if people would like it or not, so whatever. If you guys like it, keep it. If not, not a big deal. Okay, so once again, ID names usually stay the same for this. You're just telling the game that it's an engine. The volume, so when you buy it, you can actually say that the engine takes up a certain volume of your hold you have. In this case, we're saying we don't want it. It's now mass. I don't know if it actually does affect. I don't have a lot of information on that. Max force is how much. This is actually this. I forget the actual calculation, but this right here, linear drag, will actually tell the speed of the engine that you do have. This is how long it will take to charge, so it'll take you 20 seconds. In this case, I like making all testable ships 0, just to make sure everything's done right. Usage, and this is just different sound effects that you guys get. This is different pitches range, so when you hear a ship come close to you or go away from you, you hear like a pitch effect, like a Doppler effect, and that's where that comes from. Right? Yeah, and that's pretty much the same, so that's good for what I wanted to do. So I'll make sure that this matches my goods, and we're good. So cloak shape engine, and that's good. So that's added. I'll save that. And then next I want to go to power. That's found in your, let's see, I think miscellaneous equipment, and I'm right. Phew. This case I can just kind of copy and paste this stuff here. I think I've kept them pretty much all the same for fighters. Yeah, I've kept them all pretty much the same. So I'm using this. Actually, I'll use the same as the Toscan for sake of simplicity. And I'll change this to cloak shape. And then now that is added. So making sure I go back to my goods here, cloak shape power. It's really important that you have all this, all the names the same. That's why I tend to go back and forth to make sure if I did a spelling mistake or not. It's consistent. It's a consistent spelling mistake at least, but the model will work. Because if you don't add this properly, when you try to buy the model, it will crash. Okay, so then that's added, so I'm done there. Okay, and scanners have already been added. They're kind of generic. Now shield, that's found in the ST equipment here. Lots of shield information. I will just be lazy and copy it for the sake of copying it. You guys can always toy with this later on down the road when you're trying to balance things. Right now I'm just trying to add the model to the game and get it working. Actually, I'll just copy this. Okay, and I'll just change that to cloak shape. Rather, let's go here. And voila. And so everything's pretty much the same here. Just to go through it so you guys understand what's going on. Once again, this is telling the game that is a shield component. This is telling you where the model is for that. This is telling you that you want to connect it to the ship. Wow, okay, got a lot of hit points. That's why sometimes you should change that. I'll change that to, oh, right, the hit points itself. Sorry. This is actually the hit points of the model itself. So basically, your ship will destroy before this model will. But you guys can change that if you guys want to shields to be destroyable. You just change that value and make the hard point. You guys would change that value and make the hard point. You'd move it outside so the model can't be hit. Sorry, lost my train of thought here. So basically, if you want your shields to be destroyed, you would change that number to something lower than the ship, and you would move the hard point in the model of the ship out. If that makes sense. Don't worry about it. I'm sure some people will understand what that meant. Okay. Regeneration rate, you guys would change that. Max capacity, so that's the actual size of the shield capacity. This is just the type of it. This is how many seconds it takes to the shields to rebuild after they've been put down. And this is like different sounds you can hear. So, for example, if I wanted to hear the rebuild sound, I'd put that back into place. And these are different shield effects you can get. Okay. And this is if after the ship destroys, I want to be able to beam it in, and you say no. But you can say yes if you do want that. Okay, so that's been added. Now the lasers. That's in your weapons equipment. Now, I might be just lazy and put the same ones as the Toscan has, which I think I'm going to do. So the Toscan has... the Toscan would have some weapons here. Oh, interesting. Okay. So Toscan doesn't have any weapons. Go figure. I'll add those in now, because it should. I just don't know how many hard points it does have, so... And it has 6 weapons. Oh, okay. Let's see here. What can we... I might have to make a new weapon. Actually, I'll go into Dev's old files and see what he did for that. Okay, so he just had standard stuff here. I think I'll just keep it the same, to be quite honest. Just keep it this one here. Okay, just add that. And I'll show you guys what I'm doing in a sec. Let me just get this to the right point. Oh, actually, already has an atom. Oh, excellent. Okay, you need to do that. So going into our weapons equipment, I'll just talk you guys through it. So weapons are actually pretty easy to add. It's just getting them balanced right. That takes a long time. So you have 2 components. You have a munition. So that's actually what you see shoot out of the ship, and this is the actual gun itself. And the munition, you'll see that this ammo here will match this point right here, and this is what this gun will shoot. Is that? So this thing, it's linked to a gun component. It requires ammo, so you can say false. If you said true, this would you would have to buy this ammo. So, for example, missiles would have ammo. So hit points, that's how much the munition actually takes. So if you remember when we had those, oh god, I can't remember it. When you can shoot missiles down with those like Borstal type effects. I forget what those are called. Anyways, they had a hit point of 2, and that missile that would track the missile had a hit point of 3. Sorry, a destroy point of 3. So your hull damage of 3. So this right here was 3. So this would destroy this missile because it only had a hit point of 2. Hope that makes sense. Energy damage is how much it affects shields. Although I haven't really figured that out actually too much yet. So weapon type. This is actually a type of laser that you'll see, and that actually corresponds to this right here. So for example, these are the ratios. So if I wanted, for example, this laser here, these are the different ratios you can have. Now if you had different shields, this would matter, but we don't, so it really doesn't, but just keep it this one here. Okay, going back to that. This is the sound that you get, this is the effect that you get, and this is the actual effect that you get. So there's different sizes, and that's located, pretty sure that's located in, let me just find it here. Yeah, beam effects here. So these are the different beams right now that we have. You can, once again, Devs has shown you what is going on. For those of you that want to play with the effects, this is where you would play with them in here. I don't know much about them, so feel free to write a tutorial about that and tell me when you guys figure it out. But you have to make sure that these have the same values, or it will crash your game when you try to shoot the missile. Sorry, the laser, which it does, and this is the lifetime it has. Okay. So now going into the actual gun component, that's what it's called, Standard Laser 01, and I'll make sure that the My Goods has that Standard Laser 01. That's added to Weapon 1 and added to Weapon 2, which is good, which is what I want. And this is how many hit points it has, so destroy that that gun component. So this is the, I don't know what explosion resistance is, or parent and child impulse. I never figured out that, the actual mass of it. So it has a little bit of mass when you buy it. So the power usage of the gun, this is the time in seconds, how long it takes to the game to fire. So one after another. Now this is, I want to make this a little bit faster because I think I've made them faster in the game. Right. So this is the velocity that this will leave the. This is the velocity that the ammunition will leave this gun at, and I want to move that up to 1,000. This is just some flash stuff. This is the pretty effect stuff. You don't really need it. Although people can play with it if you want to go ahead. So when it leaves the gun, this is like the radius of flash it will have, and this is the type of flash it will have. I think that's right. Phantom physics. This is actually interesting. If you make this true, if you shoot a missile at this, for example, it will go right through it because you have phantom physics here. Now, basically, it's like a ghost. It's there, but it can't be hit by anything, really. So basically, you're saying here that I don't want this component ever to be destroyed, and the ship will be destroyed before this will, which is fair. If you guys want to change that, you change this. Make sure you change this to false. Okay, so now we have that added, which is good. I didn't have to add anything, but just had to change it, which is nice for me. Alright, so we have that. Okay, now for NPCs, I'll just do a little quick thing here. You want to add information to the loadouts. That's important for NPC stuff. Also, which I forgot to do, is go back to the ship arc and add it for the NPCs there as well. But usually it's just a cut and paste and nothing big. So anyways, going to loadouts here. Oh, right, loadouts is in ships. That's right, I forgot. Okay, so talking about the NPCs, because I'll probably be back at that point to be able to add them in, I'm hoping. Yeah, this is once again Aaron's. He added, I think, the Z95 too. I'll have to change that at some point. Alright. Make sure I have the cloak here. Okay, so the cloak shape's added here. Now, you also have a separate NPC component, NPC part of the ship arc, which I'll show you is right here, NPCs. So if you want any ship to be added for NPCs, you have to add them here as well. So I do want them to be added. So I'm going to add them here right now to show you guys how you do it and how you set it up, make it easier for me after you add all these ships in. So usually I add the NPCs after I've done everything to add the ship, which I have pretty much, except add it to one other file, which I'll show you guys how to do later. That way I have all the data right and without editing it too much. And I want to change this name to NPC cloak shape. That's pretty easy. And that's done. Loadouts is important for NPCs. So it's a little, basically what you use is the goods. It just has a little bit different file set up here. So let's see, where's my Toscan? Alright, right there. So it actually didn't have any weapons, which was funny. So in this case, what I'm going to do is add my loadouts here. Oops. And here. So I'm saying that this is be the cloak shape loadout. And the ship that I want, this is where it actually gets it from the ship arc, and I'm going to say the cloak shape. And then I want a cloak ship engine, which I'll have to add in a second. And then I want these two weapons here. So I'm going to say equipment. Add it there. So making sure that these ones equal here. So basically it's saying this is the laser that I want, and this is where I want it, and this is the number I want there. I've never added 2, so I don't really know what that would do, but I don't recommend trying it. And now if this had a missile launcher, which I could put on it, I'm just lazy at the moment, this is what you do. So you add, you'll see that this has a torpedo component, and that's the torpedo it's launching, and this is the ammo that it uses, and that's the amount of ammo that it has in it. So for example, when you see this NPC, it will have these 2 torpedo launchers with 8 proton torpedoes, and if that makes sense. Okay, and then this one only has, I'm pretty sure only has 1 engine. Actually, let's go back here. Oops. So engine 1, okay. I was just looking here at this engine glow. This is where you get the engine glow, and I only have 1, and I wanted to. You can make this one, for example, red. So the player fileable ship will be purple, and this one will be red. But I'll make it actually purple, just to be nice and even all around here. And I'm saying that. So for my cargo, I'm saying that this NPC ship will have a cargo of 10. 10 countermeasures. Okay, and that's added there. Now I just need to make sure that I've added all the components. Yeah, I think this is right. Okay, and now going to equipment. I don't need that. Alright, and I want to get out of here. Ships, make sure that I have my. So I wasn't sure if I added the right file, rather the right information to the right file, so I'm just checking that right now. Okay, so I have. Okay, so for here, the only thing I really have to add for this NPC is their own engines, because he used the same engine as player ships. The NPCs will be flying around everywhere like crazy, so I like to have a slower engine for them in terms of how long it takes for them to go into cruise. And you'll see here, this is where it's all added. So I'll just use the same as this. And I'll change that to cloak shape engine. And I want to, see the charge time here, so instead of for us where it's 0, which you guys will change later on, it's 60, so it'll take a minute for these things to go into cruise if I wanted to. Okay, so that's added there. That was the real big thing that I needed to do. Is the tractor component right? Is my lasers right? My countermeasures right. Okay, so that's good. So the only thing left you have to do here to play your ship is add it to a location, and you do that with the market ships. Now you see that market good will correspond to the goods I need. So if I want my cloak shape sold at a certain place, I will add it. I'll use this package right here, because this is what I want actually added. So I'll copy that and put that here. So good, and make sure this is all the same. And hopefully, if I did everything right, I'll be able to buy the cloak shape. So I think this is be the end of this tutorial. If I didn't get this to work right, I'll be back and I'll show you guys how you go through bug fixing, which is an important process. So ta-ta for now.